Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media, bringing you finally my review of Twilight by Stephenie Meyer, published in 2005. Now, I know there are a lot of fans of this book and this book series out there who might feel slighted by some of the opinions I'm going to raise in this video. And if that is you, then let me just say up front, this video is not for you. You can fuck off and go and protest somewhere with your woke snowflake bullshit. With that said, when I decided that I was going to review Twilight, I thought I would do my homework, I would do my due diligence. So I went back and I looked at the earliest example of vampire fiction because I wanted to see how far Stephenie Meyer really strayed away from the traditional vampire myths that we all know and that we grew up with. So I looked at The Vampire by William Polidori, written in 1819, I believe. A very good short story, I might add. Then I went and looked at the first serialized vampire story, Varney the Vampire, which was released in 1845 through to 1847. And then I thought, wait a minute. I'm going too far with this thing. Let's have a look at books that I grew up with, because Twilight is classified as a young adult novel. So I should be looking at the books that I read as a teenager, and maybe even books that I was too old to read or I had no interest in, just to see whether the vampire stories were out there or if Stephenie Meyer really did create this genre of vampire romance. So I went back and I looked at The Hardy Boys, a book series that I loved as a kid, and I found that, yes, there was a Hardy Boys book, Danger on Vampire Trail. You can see it right here. Contrary to what you see on the cover, this has nothing to do with fucking vampires. This is all about credit card counterfeiters. Very, very misleading. For those of you who don't know who the Hardy Boys were, they were two brothers, Frank and Joe, whose father was a private detective. Every book, they would get caught up in some stupid mystery surrounding usually a case that their father was working on. And their friend Chet, who was his hobby of the week, would kind of play a part in that. You know what? I'll just show you what I mean by the Hardy Boys. Here they are.
Who would benefit most from two buildings disappearing?
Ooh. Oh, I just started getting a clue.
Really?
Yeah, I'm totally getting a clue.
Oh, that's giving me a clue. Yeah, I've got a raging clue right now.
Mine's pointing to the left.
Oh, Frank, seriously? I have such a raging clue right now? I think we better follow it.
Then I thought, okay, this was the 70s, 80s, but I read these books growing up. How about the 90s? I was in high school in the 90s. I was a bona fide teen. How about the 90s? So then I found Sweet Valley High's Tall, Dark, and Deadly. Wow, this really is the meat in the shit sandwich. So basically you have two sisters, the main characters of Sweet Valley High. I can't even remember their fucking names. And a mysterious stranger comes to town. Of course, both of these blonde bitches like him. And then bodies start like appearing, and is he a vampire? I don't fucking know, and to tell you the truth, I don't fucking care. Then I figured, you know what? I'm going too far, way too far now. Stephenie Meyer, really, people say she created the young adult vampire romance, gothic romance genre. I thought, how many of these fucking books can there be? We know there's 4 books in the Twilight series, and we know that there is another book, like an offshoot book based on one of the other characters in the book series. But how many others can there be? So I started making a list. I have my list here. I'm going to have to read it because I can't remember all of these. The Vampire Academy series, The Dark Heroine, House of Night, The Vampire Diaries, Blood of Eden, Blue Bloods, Night World, The Morganville Vampires, The Brookhaven Vampires. Fuck me. Jesus fucking Christ. Give it a fucking rest. Anyway, what I did was, I'm not going to review the book the way I usually review it. This book was a journey for me. Sometimes not a pleasant one. So I've chronicled every day I spent reading this book, and I've just compiled my thoughts on the part of the book that I read that day. And I sincerely hope you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, again, I don't fucking care. Go fuck yourself. So, with that said, welcome to another episode of Okay, so I've just started this book, and holy shit, I didn't realize the whole book was just going to be the fucking whinings of a mopey 17-year-old girl. Bella, we're introduced to her. She moves to this town called Forks with her father, because her mother is off chasing some new husband baseball player's dream or something. I don't fucking know. But anyway, all this book starts with is this chick's fucking whinging about the town, whinging about her skin, whinging about her hair, whinging about this, whinging about that. If she's not whinging, she's pining over some fucking albino freak across the cafeteria who's supposed to be her biology partner, and she can't understand why he doesn't fucking like her. Maybe because you're a fucking mopey bitch. I don't know. Anyway, this is pretty much the whole first part that I read today. It's just high school teen angst crap. There is a surprising amount of cock blocking in this part of the book. For some reason, all the guys want to get with her. There's like Mike who wants to get with her, and Eric who wants to get with her, and Tyler who wants to get with her. There is so much cock blocking here. It's absolutely insane. And I think maybe it's just because she's the new girl. She is exotic to them, I guess. I don't fucking know. But yeah, I hope this gets better. I really fucking do. Okay, so day two, the book actually has picked up a bit. I was very surprised by it, but I did notice one thing. In her pining over Edward Cullen, we discover that he has more goddamn facial expressions than a bipolar epileptic prostitute being fucked by a mental patient getting electroshock therapy. It's ridiculous how many times in a single fucking encounter can his face change from smiling to angry to frustrated to confused to smiling again. Jesus Christ, pick an expression and fucking stick with it, you vampire piece of shit. But we don't know he's a vampire yet. He's just an albino mopey twat. So, yeah, story's picking up a bit. Bella's made some friends now, which is good to see because, you know, an alone, mopey 17-year-old girl, for all we know, she could have turned into a fucking school shooter. In this part of the book, however, the cock blocking is kind of reversed. I don't know what it's called when women cock block each other, twat swatting, box outing. I don't fucking know, but we're getting a lot of that now with one chick who seems to think Bella is the fucking Antichrist because she talked to a guy that this other girl liked. Just like Dawson's Creek bullshit at the moment. We do get introduction to Jacob. Now, Jacob, Bella used to play with him when they were kids because, of course, she moved away from Forks when she was a very little girl. And when she would come back to visit her father was friends with Billy Black, who is the Native American wheelchair-bound lunatic. More on that later. And so she meets Jacob at some beach party, and Jacob informs her that, yes, perhaps the Cullens are vampires and they're not allowed on the Indian reservation. And this is where we get this idea of Edward is perhaps more than he seems to be. It was a kind of a nice little scene. I like Jacob's character at this point because he's, not, what's the word? Not a cunt. He's just genuinely infatuated with Bella and I think really wants to be her friend. Hopefully we'll see how this turns out in the next part of the story. Okay, more bitching and moaning. You know what? I think I can sum up, well, I think someone else can sum up my feelings best, so I'm going to leave it to Arnold Rimmer from Red Dwarf. This is how I'm feeling at the moment, reading this book from Bella's perspective.
Stop your foul whining, you filthy piece of distended rectum!
That pretty much says it all. Now, at this point in the story, I just have to talk about her friends. There's some dance going on at the school. Bella doesn't want to go because she can't dance or some shit. And her friends ask her to go dress shopping with them in Port Angeles, and she decides to go dress shopping with them. These two friends are the most fucked up, stupidest, bitchy cunts I have ever fucking read about. So after they go dress shopping, fair enough, what's all good, they have a little fucking gossip fest. They decide to go for a walk. They finish a bit early, so they decide to go for a walk down on the boardwalk. They tell Bella wants to go to a bookshop. Okay, first of all, they're in a fucking department store. Doesn't a department store usually have a book section you can go and fucking look at? Most of the department stores I've been in have, but apparently not this fucking one. So they send her to the bookstore. When she gets there, it's not a bookstore, it's a fucking new age magic shop. And she looks in the window and sees crystals and books on healing your psychic self and shit like that. How could her fucking friends think that's the sort of bookstore she wants to fucking go to? You stupid, stupid, stupid fucking girls. Naturally, this leads to a run-in with some guys. Bella gets lost. These guys follow her down an alley. They're going to fucking probably rob her and rape her or some shit. I don't fucking know. And then all of a sudden, oh, Edward's there and he's fucking Toyota Corolla or whatever the fuck he's driving. What do vampires drive? How the fuck should I know? And whisks her off to safety, but he's worried because he can feel he's getting angry that they were going to hurt his fucking woman because he can read minds. Yes, Edward can read minds. There you go. There's a gift. So, drives to the restaurant they were going to meet at, sees her two friends leaving the restaurant, and they're worried about her. It says in the book they are fucking worried about her. They were so worried about her that they ordered their fucking food and they ate it before they decided to go looking for her. What sort of fucking cunt move is that? Come on. So Edward decides to have a meal with her and take her home. And this is where they bring up the whole, well, first of all, he doesn't order any food and he just keeps giving her Pepsi, whatever. But this is where like she's starting to realize that he is a vampire. And she's not frightened. She's not worried. She's intrigued. She's lustful. She's in love. This, people, this is why nice guys finish last. Because all these dumb bitches out there want the bad boy. Fucking makes me sick. Fuck this shit. Oh, this book is just fucking getting to me. But just for you guys, I carried on. So now we're at the part of the story where it's just questions. Edward asking Bella questions, Bella asking Edward questions. All just useless fucking questions, which had me just thinking this.
When are they gonna get to the fireworks factory?
But what's really interesting now is with the whole vampire werewolf fucking thing going on, we get this really interesting kind of aside with her father, Charlie, who is the chief of police in town and really one of the dumbest fucking characters in this book, and Billy Black, Jacob's father, who... okay, so I don't even know what to call this, but the Blacks don't like the Cullens because they're vampires, probably. Charlie gets really pissed off when people talk shit about the Cullens because they're good people. He's never had any problems with them. So he and Billy had this falling out because Billy said some bad stuff about the Cullens. So the Native American said some bad things about the whitest fucking family in a town of white people, and the white sheriff gets pissed off. Like, I don't even know what to call that. That's another thing that I found in this book. The character descriptions, unless it's Bella or unless it's Edward or the Cullen family, you don't really get good character descriptions. So you don't really know like what these characters really look like, their skin color or anything like that. And I know that shouldn't matter, and that's fine. But it just reminded me a lot of, do you remember back in the day when Informer by Snow came out and you heard it on the radio for the first time and you're like, hey, that's pretty good. And then you saw the film clip and he's like the whitest Canadian you've ever seen. Just reminds me a lot of that. We get this whole thing about her going to Seattle. Edward wants to drive her there. There's a dance on that she doesn't want to go to because it's established that she can't dance or some shit like that. Charlie's worried about her going to Seattle on her own. She just wants to go to the bookstore because the library in town has shit. Probably one of those libraries like the library in Footloose where they go and they burn like Fahrenheit and what was it, Slaughterhouse 5 and all those kind of books because they're teaching the young kids bad morals and we can't dance in town anymore. But you know, whatever. This whole part, boring as shit. Like really just a fucking slog to get through. This has to pick up. I'm just hoping this fucking picks up soon. I cannot do this for very much longer. One thing that has struck me as weird with this part of the book, though, is Edward's insisting that she go to this dance. And she's saying, I can't dance. And he's saying, don't worry about it. It's all about who leads. Who the fuck does this guy think he is? Xavier fucking Cugat? Yeah, look it up. Oh boy. The Meadow Scene. So, okay. This is basically, this can be summed up very simply where Edward takes her to the meadow to show her what happens when vampires appear in the sunlight. They are shiny. whatever. I don't really care. It doesn't take anything away from the story. In fact, it's quite refreshing that Stephenie Meyer has actually tried to do something different with the vampire mythology. But this scene in the book goes on for way too fucking long. It just reminded me of this.
Always be true. Spend my days pitching woo to you.
Oh, he's been singing for 2 hours.
And then, to top it all off, when they get home, back to Charlie's house where Bella is living, of course. She goes to bed early. When Charlie comes back, she makes up some excuse. I'm really tired from hiking or some shit. And she goes to bed early. Okay, that's fine. There's this really weird moment where she reverse Top Guns Edward. Now, what I mean by this, do you remember this scene in Top Gun? Right after the very homoerotic volleyball scene on the beach, where Maverick is going to Charlie's house for dinner. He arrives late, and this is the first thing that he says to her when he comes in.
If you don't mind, I'm going to just take a quick shower while you're finishing up here.
So she just leaves him in her bed and just goes off to have a shower because, you know, that's what you fucking do when there's a vampire in your fucking house. Just really weird. Now, here is probably the part of the book that up to this point, it just baffles my fucking mind. Here, Edward basically admits to Bella that to him, she's nothing more than a fucking McDonald's Happy Meal. You can liken it to, let's say, a diehard vegan, okay? A diehard vegan goes into a Burger King to order a delicious, juicy, flame-grilled Whopper set with a Coke or a Sprite, whatever drink fucking vegans drink, I don't know, and some fries. And they sit down at the table and they stare at that delicious, succulent, flame-grilled Whopper. And in their mind, they're deciding, do I break all of my vegan commitments and eat this burger? Or do I leave the burger alone and just remain a pretentious cunt? That's exactly what happens here. This is ridiculous. There is no action so far, none whatsoever. And I'm about 300 pages into this motherfucker. Come on, throw me a fucking bone here, people.
We all know where this is going. Fucking teenagers.
So at this point, he confesses his love to her and she confesses her love to him, even though it turns out that he's been stalking her this whole time and sneaking in a bedroom to watch her sleep. But he decides, you know what? I want you to meet my family. So the next day, he takes her to the Cullen residence, where we find out that not only is he fast and strong and sparkly and fucking perfect, because that's all she fucking says through this whole book, how perfect he is. Perfect hair, perfect eyes, perfect teeth, perfect ears, perfect fingernails, whatever. We also find out at this point that Edward Cullen is fucking Mozart. That he can fucking, he's composed music and he plays the piano like Wolfgang Vampire Deus Mozart, for fuck's sake.
Play Peter Griffin.
Ah, now that is a challenge.
It's around here that we also get some really good backstories on Carlisle, Esme, Jasper, Emmett, Alice, and Rosalie, the other vampires. These backstories are really interesting, and I really wish that more had been done with them. Now, this is the part of the book where they have the baseball game in the thunderstorm. And this has possibly one of the stupidest descriptions I have ever fucking read in any book. This is a direct quote from the book. Edward comes to pick up Bella. He takes her home. She gets ready for this baseball game that they're going to, and Edward comes to pick her up. And this is what Bella thinks. Edward stood in the halo of the porch light, looking like a male model in an advertisement for raincoats. So basically looking like this. Just fucking ridiculous. But the baseball in the thunderstorm thing, pretty good. I enjoyed it. And this is where we finally, 350 pages into this shit stack, we finally get the villain. 3 vampires come along, they form their own coven, and one of them realizes that Bella is a human. Edward defends her a little bit, and this vampire gets pissed off and now wants to hunt and kill Bella. Finally, shit is happening. Okay, this is it. The climax of the story. This is where they try to protect Bella, but the evil vampire James has lured her back to her old dance studio in Phoenix. Don't fucking ask me why. And this is where we get the climactic fight between James and Edward, this fight to the death that we actually never get to read about because Bella's fucking unconscious through the whole thing. And then she's in hospital. And that's pretty much it. The book ends with Bella being tricked into going to the prom. She has a fucking meltdown in the car when she realizes that no, Edward is not taking her to some formal vampire initiation party, but just to her high school prom. And then he takes her out on the dance floor, which, well, you know what? It's not going to do me any justice describing this. So this is what that scene looks like. Bella and Edward twirling, twirling, twirling. Jacob crashes the prom. He doesn't even go to the fucking high school, but his creepy father paid him $20 to go there and tell Edward, you've got to break up with your boyfriend. And that's the end of the story. There is some vampire foreplay if you're interested in that kind of thing. Apparently vampires get off rubbing their nose on people's necks. Whatever. But that pretty much sums up Twilight. In conclusion, not a bad book. In all honesty, I'm not the target audience for this book. I fully understand that. I was going into this thing with my own bias, my own prejudice, because I do love traditional vampire stories, and this clearly isn't a traditional vampire story. You know, I get it. Is it worth reading? Sure. Are there some good points to this? Yes, there are. Some parts of this story are very, very well done, very intriguing, and it is a shame that Stephenie Meyer didn't go any further with the backstory of some of these characters. For example, Carlisle Cullen's backstory, incredibly interesting. It would make a fantastic book. But remember, this came out in 2005. Lucky for you, Stephenie Meyer in 2016 did Twilight Reimagines. I believe the title is Life and Death. So in Twilight, we have Bella and Edward. In Twilight Reimagined, you have Beau and Edith. So instead of a girl coming to town and falling in love with a male vampire, it's a guy coming to town and falling in love with a female vampire. Stephenie Meyer is a fucking genius. He said sarcastically, because that sounds fucking stupid. Thank you for putting me through this. This was Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. It's an okay vampire book. I thought, honestly, it would be 500 pages of toilet paper. Good quality paper, actually. This book has very good quality paper. Probably the same as 3-ply. It will hold your shit very well if you decide that you need to use this to wipe your asshole. It might cause a bit of a skin irritation, so just be aware of that. You might want some Vaseline afterwards, or some Neosporin to bring the heat down off your torn asshole. I hope you enjoyed this video. There'll be another video in a week's time. Please, everyone, stay safe, have fun, and I'll catch you all later.